Hello. In this session, I'm going to discuss a data entry in Jointpoint regression and Jointpoint trend analysis software. But first, we need to know which data is needed for Jointpoint regression. The most important data for Jointpoint regression are dependent variable and its standard error and independent variable, which in Jointpoint trend analysis software, it's usually time. If we have covariates, we need data entered for those, and adjustment variables are useful in certain situations. For instance, when we want to calculate age standardized rates from crude rates using an adjustment variable. Dependent variable can be count, crude rate, age standardized rate, proportion, percent, and other forms. A count scale is typically the number of events. Jointpoint trend analysis software will accept counts in fractional forms. A crude rate is the number of new events occurring in a specified population per year, often expressed as the number of cases per 100,000 population at risk. However, in Jointpoint regression, we can express the rate per 100 to per 1 million. And the crude rate for each year is calculated with the formula of number of events in year I divided by population of year I multiplied by the amount that we want to express the crude rate with. An age-adjusted or age-standardized rate is a weighted average of crude rates where the crude rates are computed for different age groups and proportion of persons in the corresponding age groups of a standard population are used as weights. In Jointpoint trend analysis software, we can directly calculate the age-adjusted rate by adding an adjustment variable. The formula that the Jointpoint trend analysis software will use is this formula. For crude rate and age-adjusted rate, we can calculate them directly in Jointpoint trend analysis software, providing number of events and population for each year, plus the adjustment variable for the age-adjusted rate. A proportion is a ratio of a numerator to a denominator, which is between 0 and 1, and it cannot get higher than 1, while a percent is a fraction or a ratio multiplied by 100. However, Jointpoint trend analysis will not allow proportions and percentages greater than 1 and 100 respectively. We can directly calculate proportions and percentages in Jointpoint trend analysis software, and numerators and denominators for percentages and proportions can be fractional. For confidence intervals of the model parameters and related p-values, Jointpoint will assume that the data arises from a normal distribution or the number of observations is large enough to use the asymptotic normality of the estimated model parameters for proportions and percentages. If the Ni is the sample size for the 8th observation and is large enough that both Ni pi and Ni 1 minus pi are larger than or equal to 10, then the sample proportions can be considered to asymptotically follow a normal distribution with the standard error equal to radical pi 1 minus pi divided by Ni. The other option is used for all other types of numeric variables such as temperatures over time. For examples for each type of dependent variable, I have gathered some articles that you can see and use for further reading. The standard error of the dependent variable for crude rates, age-adjusted rates, proportions, and percentages, we can calculate the standard error directly in Jointpoint trend analysis software. For counts and crude rates, we can use Poisson variance uh, if the assumption is correct, of course. And for all types of dependent variables, constant variance can be assumed. The latter two options negate the need for the entry of a standard error. However, it is important to mention that the assumptions must be met. The Jointpoint trend analysis software will use these formulas for calculation of the standard error for each type of dependent variable. Alternatively, if, for instance, we're not satisfied with the options and we want to use other types, for instance, harmonic enhanced Poisson standard errors, we can use pre-calculated standard errors and enter them as a separate column in the data, or we can insert the variance covariance matrix. The independent variable in Jointpoint trend analysis software is thought to be time and can be yearly, monthly, and other. Its definition changes the names of APC and AAPC, for instance, annual percent change, monthly percent change, daily percent change based on the name that we choose. And if we choose other, we have to define the name, for instance, minute per percent change. The Jointpoint trend analysis software will perform a separate analysis for each bigroup of the covariate. For the use of covariates, the data must be sorted by the bivariables and the independent variable. For instance, in this example, my independent variable is year, which goes between 2012 and 2018, and my covariate is sex, which consists of males and females, and as you can see, I have sorted my data based on these two variables. For further reading, you can use the Jointpoint trend analysis software's website. In order to enter data to Jointpoint trend analysis software, after opening the software, we click on New and select the file which contains the data. In this data set, I have my independent variable, my number of events, and population, and I want to determine the trends of crude rate. So I click on calculate from data, select crude rate per 100,000. I can choose between 100 to 1 million, but I choose 100,000. My count variable is number of events. My population variable is population. My independent variable is year and it's annual, so I keep it. The standard error, I will choose standard error calculated in this data because the software will calculate it for me. For data entry by covariate, as shown, I have a number of events which is the same as the previous example. For count variable, my population is still population, my independent variable is year and it's annual type. In the window by variables, I click add and enter sex as the covariate and click OK. For the use of pre-calculated incidence rate, I will choose provided in data file as the run type. My type of variable is crude rate, and the name of the variable, which is instance, is supposed to be inserted here. My independent variable is still year. In standard error provided is the option that I'm choosing because I have calculated the standard errors previously, and I choose the variable here. For the age adjustment and using adjustment variables, I'm going to use one of the sample sessions provided by Jointpoint trend analysis software, which is accessible from this tab, sample sessions, age adjusted rate. As you can see in this data set, we have an adjustment variable which is sex, and we have a standard population variable which we have inserted. Thank you for your attention. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos like this.